Hi folks, Paul Gruen here. I just finished a great book that I'd like to summarize here because I think it can help everybody. It's on my Kindle, so I can't really show it to you. It was recommended by Rob Sperry at a recent company convention. Anybody involved in network marketing would know who Rob is, although the book's not specifically about network marketing. The book's called The War of Art. Not the art of war, The War of Art. It's by Stephen Pressfield. He's the author of The Legend of Bagger Vance. I remember that movie. I never read the book though, but the subtitle of the book is Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles. I found a lot of similarities between this book and another one I recently reviewed that was called The Consistency Chain for Network Marketing, although it wasn't specific to network marketing either. That book was recommended by somebody else at that very same convention. As you can see behind me, I obviously like to read. Now, all I can do is just summarize that particular book here. I'd certainly encourage everybody who finds this of interest to buy and read the book for all the details. So here goes. Most of us have two lives, the life we live and the unlived life that's within us. And between those two is what the author refers to as resistance. What does that mean? I mean, it's nice to boil things down to one word, but what's resistance? So are you a writer that doesn't write? Or a painter that doesn't paint? Or an entrepreneur who's never started a venture? Are you someone who's never completed a diet or a health program? In other words, are you able to reject immediate gratification in favor of a long-term growth or health or integrity? If that's a problem for you, then you know what resistance is. Now, people like to blame outside forces for this. Their spouse, their kids, their job, their boss. But that's not where resistance comes from. Resistance comes from within. It's self-generated, it's self-perpetuated, and it's fueled by fear. Resistance has no strength on its own, but fear of what? Fear of bankruptcy, of poverty, failing to support your family, betraying your family or friends, fear of madness. Those are all serious, but in the author's opinion, they're not the real fear. The real fear is that you'll succeed, that you'll become the person you sense in your heart that you truly are. Because if you embrace these ideals, you must prove that you're worthy of them. And that scares the hell out of people. But if you master that fear, you'll conquer resistance. The most common form of resistance is procrastination. It's easy to rationalize. You don't say, I'll never start my business. Instead, you say, I'll start it tomorrow. Procrastination can become a habit. It is with a lot of people, and it's a bad habit at that. You could put things off till you're on your deathbed. So, what does resistance feel like? Well, it's unhappiness, boredom. Like Mick Jagger said, you can't get no satisfaction. You feel guilt, but you can't quite put your finger on the source. You want to go back to bed, or the reverse, you want to get up and party. You feel unloved, unlovable. You hate yourself. You hate life. And if that goes on too long, it leads to depression, aggression, and dysfunction. Socrates knew this 2,500 years ago. He essentially said that the truly free individual is free only to the extent of his own self-mastery. Those who won't govern themselves are condemned to find masters to govern over them. How relevant is that today? And have you ever noticed that people who are realized in their own life almost never criticize others? If they speak at all, it's usually to offer encouragement. So how do you overcome resistance? You need to become a professional. Now, that doesn't mean a doctor or a lawyer. The term here is simply an ideal. A professional tackles projects that'll make him stretch. They take on assignments that take them into uncharted water. Now, are they scared? Hell yes, they're scared. They're petrified. But the professional has learned that success, like happiness, comes as a byproduct of work. I'll define that more fully in a moment. So what are the differences between a professional and an amateur? Here are some of the qualities of a professional. They show up every day. They show up no matter what, in sickness, in health, come hell or high water. They stay on the job all day. Their minds may wander, but their bodies remain at the wheel. They're committed over the long haul. The stakes for them are high, and they're real. It's about survival. It's about feeding their families. They're not here for fun. They work for money, and they master the technique of their job. Now consider the amateur. They don't show up every day. They don't show up no matter what. They don't stay on the job all day. They're not committed over the long haul. They don't get money, and they've not mastered the technique of their art. What are some other characteristics of a professional? A pro acts in the face of fear. The amateur believes he has to first overcome his fear, then he can do the work. But the pro knows the fear can never be overcome. There's no such thing as a fearless warrior or a dread-free artist. A pro accepts no excuses. A pro doesn't hesitate to ask for help. There's one good example. Many would consider Tiger Woods the best golfer in the world, but he had teachers and coaches. Pros don't take failure or success personally. They don't let the actions of others define their reality. They're not concerned with what critics may say. Actually, envy-driven criticism is a compliment. I mean, the critic hates that which he himself would have done if he only had the guts. Now, there's no mystery to turning pro. It's a decision that's brought on by an act of will. You make up your mind to view yourself as a pro, and you do it. It's as simple as that. It's like a light switch going off, and I can personally attest to that. So how do you do it? Well, whatever your field is, the most important thing is to work. Nothing else matters except sitting down every day and grinding it out. When you do that, day after day, something starts to happen. Now, I'll admit the author gets a bit esoteric at this point. I'll just describe it as things fall into place. The other book I reviewed, The Consistency Chain, essentially described the very same thing. Whether you call it overcoming resistance or building up the momentum to be consistent, the result is the same. When you commit yourself, providence, the protective care of whatever you believe as a spiritual power, will move in too. Johann Goethe, the famous German author, said, I quote, "Whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power in it. Begin it now." Unquote. When you conceive of whatever you want, and you commit to it in the face of your fears, something wonderful happens. It's like a bird breaking its way out of an egg. You're giving birth to your new self. If you were meant to do something great and you don't even try, you not only hurt yourself, you hurt your children, you hurt me, you hurt the rest of us, you hurt the planet. Creative work is not a selfish act or a bid for attention. It's a gift to the world and every being in it. So the parting thought here is this. Don't cheat us of your contribution. Give us what you got. Again, the book's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.